What's poppin' with the population? It's another episode of Do Rag with the Cape Road. It's your boy me. Well, I'm a man, but it's me, Dre. This is episode I don't know. Like I've told you before, I haven't been keeping count. If you're wondering why I look like this right now, it's because I'm cutting weight. I have a fight on Saturday, March 2nd. There's a few guys from the gym that I train at that'll be fighting. Two pro fights. I'm one of the pros, the homeboy Asher, and there's two amateur fights or three. No, AJ. Forgot the other kid's name. Yeah, I think it's four of us all together. I have weight cutting brain right now, so I might space out a little bit. But nevertheless, it's another episode of Do Rag with the Cape Road, as I said before. If you are liking the content, I appreciate that. Just like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Like I said before, you can, if you want to donate, you can hit my cashapp, Venmo, Apple Cash, up to you. If you want to buy actual products from me, this is, not even a shameless plug. This is advertising time. I have withwithout t-shirts. That's a brand that I created. These are the initial t-shirts, first run, and I have pins as well. Can't really see it in the screen, but withwithout is basically a brand that is dedicated to, well, not even dedicated to, because it's a part of me. It's from the idea that no matter what's going on in the world, no matter who's in or out of your life, no matter who's affected your life, you are you. And with or without them, you'll still be yourself. So you always have to look back into yourself. Be happy about the experiences that you've had, regardless of how they've turned out, because the outcome is you're still here. So with or without those experiences, you're still yourself. I could be spacing on the full meaning because it's a meaning I made up, but again, you can hit me up if you want a pen. It's an enamel pen, so you can stick it on something. Pause. And a t-shirt. I'm black and white with without and stitching. Yeah. So what's going on in the world today? It seems a lot, especially if you're living in the West, because we get inundated with so much. Excuse me. With so much stuff, like Western media is constantly pumping stuff out at you over and over and over again, so you don't know where to turn. So you get ADHD from watching American television, or even just being on YouTube. It's just so many things. But obviously, it's like day 130 something with the genocide in Gaza, because it's not a war. With the genocide in Gaza, recently, I think just yesterday, Aaron, I just spaced out on his name because, again, wake up brain, but U.S. Air Force member Aaron Rosenthal, I'll fix it in post, but excuse me for messing up your name, he recently passed away by self-deletion. He self-immolated in front of the Israeli consulate, and I believe it was I forgot where, Washington, I forgot where it was, again, wake up brain, but he did it, and it's wild seeing how the Western media frames it, or puts up, like, they don't really say his intentions, or just like, it's very vague in how they describe what happened, and also how they clip it up. If you watch some of the Western media's versions of the events, they make it look as if the response time to what he did was rather quick. And if you find the raw video, which I have, and I'll put up probably at the end of this, because I'm just forewarning you, it's graphic, even though they blur stuff out. It took a while to get over there, which makes sense, human reaction time. And also, there's a point where he hits the ground, and one of the security guards has a gun to him. He's like burning though. What are you about to shoot? And one of the people that was on the scene, one of the first responders was like, we don't need guns, we need fire extinguishers. So that person that had his weapons drawn on Aaron, you know, while he was self-immolating, that person is excuse me, the yawning is going to be a thing too, because cutting weight, I'm losing body weight because I'm losing water, so my body is having to self-regulate. So the yawning is because your body has to get to a optimal temperature for you to operate. That's why you yawn, if you didn't know. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's science. I feel like yawning is in the cold, because I'm getting cold, so the yawning is a part of you being able to regulate your body temperature. Again, that could be junk science. I feel like I've read that in a few science articles, but it could have changed. I don't know, maybe I was reading some bullcrap. Nevertheless, Aaron self-immolated. Security guard had his pistol drawn on him as he was self-immolating. That is a microcosm of what is going on overall today, because as you see with what's going on in Gaza, you have people, there's videos come out all the time, people begging for food, like Palestinian people begging for food, begging for the end of the occupation, the end of the indiscriminate bombings and all this other stuff. And then you have the American media, as far as American politicians and other politicians across the colonial imperialistic power structure, kind of framing it like that's not happening, or making lighter of it than what's actually happening.
The footage of
You've seen footage of
shredded children's bodies, and that's my taxpayer dollars. They're going to bomb those kids.
So I think we should kill them all, if that makes you feel better. Everybody wants.
And
You like ice cream too? No more ice cream.
When do you think that ceasefire will start, sir?
Well, I hope by the beginning of the weekend. I mean, the end of the weekend. At least my national security advisor.
You have people here, like in the West, in America, where we have the freedom to think we're free. So we have the freedom of speech to a point, because even that's kind of curtailed. I mean, you know, there's arguments about what's going on with the internet and how, like, I know there's like right-wing people I think they went to the Supreme Court about like getting their tweets or whatever pulled because they were anti-vax or anti-whatever. But so you have the Supreme Court dealing with that in regards to like internet free speech, and then you have like Georgia passing some draconian bill that's like curtailing the amount of money you can raise for like a bail fund for protesters. Then you have a bunch of cop cities being propped up everywhere, you know, the one in Atlanta. There's also several more. A black woman actually made an interactive chart of all of the cop cities they're making, because clearly protests do work. That's why they also tell you that you need a permit for them, but that also doesn't make any sense, because the reason why I'm protesting is because the rules suck. Why would I then follow the rules to tell you that the rules suck? What? That's dumb. But you have people in the West that are protesting what's going on from, I forgot the Jewish group, Jewish something with peace, but they were at 30 Rock, like screaming about Biden being there, not in our name, you know, the stuff that they've been saying that, you know, the media doesn't put up a lot, Western media doesn't put up a lot because they don't want you to think that Jewish people actually care about what's going on. I mean, across the diaspora, like Jewish people that live in the States, Jewish people that live in Israel, and Jewish people that like live in other places in Europe still, and or Arab Jews.
We are here as Jews.
Today, President Biden came to New York City to 30 Rock to do a TV show. And we decided that we were going to disrupt him at all costs and not let him do his TV show. And it turns out that if you're in the lobby of 30 Rock, you can hear whatever is going on in the lobby throughout the building if it's loud enough. So we were 75 people and very, very loud. It was important for us in New York City to tell Biden that he's not welcome here, that until he calls a ceasefire, we don't want to see him. And he's not listening to his constituents. He's listening to Netanyahu.
So you'll even have your boy Bibi, I hope he's not your boy, but saying like, yo, there's mad support by, Israeli people, in regards to what he's doing, and then be told that no, it's not. Like, there's people protesting, because there are. There are people protesting his government as well as they're protesting for the hostages that they claimed they were trying to get. Now, don't get me wrong. Those people that are protesting, some of them, it's just like with any group. It's not to say that they care about the Palestinian people, but they care about what they care about. We want our hostages. We want the people that are hostages back. And then the people that are protesting the government, more than likely are on the side of like one to two state solution or whatever have you. But nevertheless, they are protesting the government because of all the other criminal things that they do as far as like dealing with monies and everything else like that. But you don't see them talking about that.
לא נשב בבית ונחכה, אנחנו לא נשתוק, אנחנו דורשות עסקה עכשיו, עכשיו. לא תהיה תמונת ניצחון עם אחרון ואחרונת. אנשים והגברים שנמצאים עכשיו, החטופים שנמצאים עכשיו בגיהנום הזה, לא יחזרו. אנחנו לא נחזור להיות מה שהיינו. אנחנו נמשיך להילחם על זה עד שהם יחזרו.
אין שום דרך אחרת להחזיר את האנשים האלה בלי עסקה.
Like that. But those people, like the people, for instance, the people that were protesting, wanting the hostages back, were shot with fire cannons, sorry. Were shot with water cannons. 27 people, I think, got injured or arrested, something like that. But it was shot with water cannons. And people were assaulted on horseback. And some of the people that were beat up and hurt were people who weren't just protesting to get the hostages back, but like some of the hostages were like their relatives. So you don't care about those people. But it's about, again, a narrative kind of thing. And just power structure, imperialistic, colonialistic. Yeah, colonialistic is a word. Whatever it is now. You don't care. The power structure doesn't care about that. But you have protesters protesting aid.
Israel has blocked the free movement of people and goods in and out of the Gaza Strip for almost 2 decades. Now, Israeli civilians have started their own blockade. Dozens of protesters have demonstrated outside a major Israeli seaport, opposing the delivery of humanitarian aid. They demanded truck drivers tell them where their goods were heading. It's not clear if any aid deliveries were affected.
I know that this war is getting longer and longer and endangering our soldiers and our sons because of all these trucks that are going into Gaza.
To people in Gaza, in Rafah, and all these places that the Israeli government is forcing the civilians and whatnot to run to, protesting them getting food and saying that they shouldn't get food. And when you see the protests for the people that are trying to stop aid, there is no military response. These people have been able to put down barbed wire. They've blown up bouncy houses. They have really, really, really bad dance parties. There's like trucks and stuff. Like they check trucks. And then when the trucks actually do get in, like the starving Palestinians are like ravaging the trucks because they're starving. Like
11-year-old Mohammed Zorab spends every day seeking food for his family. When I go back to my family with this food, they're happy, he says, and we all eat together. But sometimes I go empty-handed and I feel sad.
Children are literally not alive anymore because of this.
2-month-old Mahmoud Fatou is one of the vulnerable victims. The doctor examining him told us how he had died.
هذا طفل لم يستطيع أهله توفير الحليب اللازم له. لم يستطيع توفير الطعام لأمه لكي تستطيع إرضاعه. طبعا كلنا صعقنا التعامل، احنا ممكن نتعامل مع أي واحد من أطفالنا بعد هيك زي ما تعاملنا مع الطفل هذا.
Israel says the UN is failing to organize distribution in the north. But the UN says it can't because there's lawlessness now, and that Israel has a responsibility to create security.
Before October 7.
In Israel, opinion polls suggest many support the views of Zvika Mor, whose son Aitan is a hostage in Gaza, and who opposes any aid being sent without the return of all the hostages.
It sounds very harsh when you're talking about civilians, babies, children dying.
Yes, but we have babies and women and elders, okay? It's very, very simple. Give us our people and we will give you food and medicines.
Because they're starving. Because, again, say it with me, one word, 3 syllables, genocide is happening. And you try to understand, like, so what is a protest really? I thought a protest was supposed to be against the power structure, right? So clearly, if you have people in Israel protesting the Benjamin Netanyahu cabinet
in Israel, so we can vote for a government that really cares about the people and not about their own interest, corruption, whatever. Israel needs a government that looks for the people and not for the ruling party.
With all those psychopaths and criminals and protesting, wanting the hostages back because clearly I don't want to do a deal. I keep saying I want to do a deal, but you really don't. And you hit them with water cannons and you arrest them and you assault them for protesting and then saying, oh, it's a democracy, they protest, but you assault them. And then you have protesters protesting food aid and medical aid for people that are starving and dying, and they're not met with the same resistance. Clearly, one isn't a protest.
There's powerful niggardry at work.
Like, how hard is that? That's not they are in line with what you think. And the wild part is, this is not conjecture. This is not even hyperbole. This is not me. This is not me just talking out of my ass. You can look up people in Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet, look up their quotes, the things that they've said. It's very, very disturbing. Very disturbing. You try to understand in this society that we are living in these rules that we choose to abide by, why? Like, what's why? Because a lot of the things that are happening here, like in our society, are things that we can control. Like the whole genocide happening in Gaza or whatever, the genocide happening in the Congo, because months ago, a man self-immolated in the Congo. I think he had a letter or something he wrote, like, there's a genocide here, like, help us because of what the Western powers are doing, like Cobalt. Like, again, in my iPhone and in your phones, they use Cobalt. Cobalt is mined by small Congolese children and also adult Congolese children, and they're doing it in private mines. Some of them run by Chinese businesses, some of them run by businesses from Belgium, because of course, if you know who King Leopold is. But I think France and other private businesses, and some of them are like artisanal mines, where it's just artisanal miners who are people that it sounds fancy, but it's just people that go in and mine without a permit, and usually small children end up dying. But nevertheless, you wonder how all these things are happening within our society that don't have to happen. Like starving people that doesn't have to exist. People getting sick will happen. Like death, all these things will happen, but it doesn't have to happen at the rate and at the intensity that it is happening. And it should get a lot of people to just sit back and wonder, like, who is cool with all of this? Why are we all complacent? And what is there to do, right? So you have, like I said, Aaron self-emulating, the other lady in Atlanta self-emulating. Like,
likely an extreme act of political protest that occurred here today. The community is safe. This department is aware of the tensions that are present right now in the Jewish community and in the Muslim community.
This all comes amid heightened security concerns here in the U.S. over the war between Israel and Hamas. The Israeli consulate, in a statement, saying in part, it is tragic to see the hate and incitement toward Israel expressed in such a horrific way. The sanctity of life is our highest value. Our prayers are with the security officer who was injured while trying to prevent this tragic act.
These people doing these forms of protest, and then some people are like, oh, they shouldn't do that, or trying to misconstrue things, or telling protesters you need permits, or being frustrated that people are it's like people protest because there is a problem. You're protesting because something is wrong, right? And then when you peel back the layers of what is actually wrong, it kind of all ties into capitalism, like money, 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 because you have like protesting of women's rights and people that can give birth. I just want to keep that clear, because clearly there's females that don't identify as women who give birth. But just not even trying to be PC, but just, understanding that every identity is what you choose to identify as. Like Roy Woods, wake up brain. Roy Woods Jr. has a funny joke where he's talking about like people accepting Superman and Captain America and Iron Man. Like, you call these people these characters and get offended. You will get offended when someone gets the name wrong, or gets the lineage wrong, or the comic book number wrong. And those people don't exist. They're not even real. So if you can be cool with their identities, why not somebody else's, right? Like, why be like that? Nevertheless, you have IVF, like they rolled it back in Alabama. It's a form of fertility treatment for like women that are, going through it, and like a lot of people are having a lot of people are having babies at older ages, so there's storing eggs or whatnot, and this whole thing is supposed to be about that life starts at conception or even at an embryo. And initially when you hear that, you're like, these people are insane. And then you go back to, you only care about the embryo and egg. You don't care about the child, because when you look at all the policies and stuff of that nature rolled back for like child care and tax, you get what I'm saying? Like, you don't care about kids. You don't care about kids. So you rolls that stuff back. So initially, like, they're insane. And then you see like somebody like Donald Trump, like the big grifter from New York, from Queens, lame dude, trust fund kid.
I gave you dollar nuts. You know what they say it's worth? $2 trillion.
Mr. President, can you sign his hat? And the capital of Jerusalem.
No, IVF, we need that. Like, you can't do that. That's messed up. You see, like, Republican think tank. There's some group, I think, that helps Republican lawmakers get reelected. They're like, yo, by all means, don't talk about IVF. Like, always, like, big it up. It's a good thing. And then, something in me was like, I wonder why Republicans are all of a sudden caring about a woman's body, like somebody who gives birth body in that way. And you look at the fertility numbers and you realize the socioeconomic impact and the racial impact that it has, that plays into this. So I'll put it up in post, but basically white women and affluent women but a majority of them are white, statistically speaking, benefit from IVF. Black and Hispanic women don't, because of financial reasons, socioeconomic reasons, and like travel and stuff. So really, you don't care about Republicans. Conservatives, you don't care about a woman giving birth or having the ability to give birth later, or whatever have you. What you care about is the caste system, because when it comes to childbirth, as far as not wanting people to have an abortion, it is not because you care about a future baby. It is because you care that that baby is a number. That baby will get a social security number, a birth certificate, and get a job eventually. It will work within the capitalistic system some way, shape, form, or fashion, whether they're a worker, whether they're a criminal, whether they're anything, because at the end of the day, when you are living in a capitalist society, regardless of what you're doing, you're making someone money. That's what you care about. So you care about the working class in that regard. You want more of the proletariat. When it comes to the IVF fight on the Republicans and conservative side fighting to keep it a thing, it's like, oh, you want those babies to be alive, or whatever you think in your head, because that is the ruling class in their minds. And that's not to say that every person that's doing IVF is like inherently racist or is inherently bigoted or is someone that is even thinking the way that I'm thinking about this in a broader scheme of things. But it's to say that they're in a position to have that kid better well off, where they probably won't be working for somebody. And if they are, they're like, it's only, a little bit. It's like they're going to be the ones that direct the working class, and or just the ones that are just eating off of whatever mommy and daddy are doing, or just have a regular job, but just a good though, because they got, the family structure to support them. But that's what you want. You want this caste system, because the caste system has never eroded. It has just evolved with time, just like enslavement of people has never eroded and disappeared. It just evolved with time. So you see protests for stuff like that, right? Those are fine. Those people get to, I think they just had an explosive device outside of the Alabama Attorney General's or somebody's office in regards to like what's going on with the IVF stuff, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was like, I'm not gonna prosecute anybody for getting IVF. And they're like, oh, well, all right. But there's been a lot of that has happened a lot before. Like, I remember when I was younger, and there was a website that you can go on and find out where the doctors were located who were offering the ability for a woman to be able to go through the procedure of an abortion. And they were giving out their addresses. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm not mistaken, I gotta look it up. I might not find it, but I feel like I've seen a story about somebody flying a plane into a clinic before. What I'm saying is, like, there's some protests that aren't protests. You know what I mean? Because that's not what it's about. Because there's some that are met, like Black Lives Matter protests, as far as like the actual factuals of just like saying a Black Life Matters and protesting, ending in people getting pepper sprayed and arrested and having to have bail funds to get out and all this other stuff, right? But when they marched in, what was it, South Carolina, North Carolina? Oh, what was it, South Carolina, North Carolina? They did that, Charleston, North Carolina, I think it is. They did that with their polos and tiki torches. There was no cops. Like, there was no like pushback like that. It wasn't wild like that. Like there was a neo-Nazi march not that long ago, like maybe a few weeks ago in Tennessee.
Literally having a Nazi march here in downtown Nashville. White supremacists talking.
I'm from Harlem. I remember there was a Klan march in Harlem. There was no cops. See what I'm saying? So some stuff is protest. Some stuff, what is it? What do you think it is? Like, what are we doing? The games that they play in your face is wild. They'll make you believe that everything is okay and that the status quo is what you want. But in actuality, the only way to stop something is to stop something. And the system that we are currently living in is not something that is sustainable or conducive for progress of everybody, bringing everybody along. Empathy, bringing everybody along. It's not conducive to that. Like, that's why we're so disjointed as a whole, as far as in the States. But like other places, obviously they have their issues as well. But a lot of other places are more like, they're not as diversified. Like, there's more just like, I can't think of the word off the top of my head right now because I'm having wake-up brain. But it's just like those people that live there. Like maybe, like for instance, I lived in Thailand for a little bit. So obviously there's, foreigners that live there, there's expats that live there, but it's majority Thai people. I can't think of the name of what I wanted to say off the top of my head. Again, having wake-up brain. But here is such a melting pot, so many different things going on. And since there's so much money to be made here in that regard, you can pit everybody against each other because you're going to make money off of people's fears. Because fear is the greatest weapon that you can't buy. Like, you can instill it in somebody and they don't know what to do, and but they will purchase. Oh, I need to live here because I can't be there because those people are. Oh, I got to buy this gun because those people are. Oh, I got to do this. I got to protect myself from this and this and this and this and this and this. Like, you'll run yourself ragged if you allow yourself to be caught up in the system that we are currently in. You have to detach yourself, and you have to not isolate yourself, but isolate yourself from the bullcrap. Because you have people who believe that this is okay. Like, that this violence is okay.
To make it go under the top.
We are going to engage with them on specific areas where we expect to see improvement.
What kind of improvement? I mean, we saw yesterday that they killed 120 people, maybe a lot more. We don't know how many injured and so on, or how many among the injured will end up dying and all these things. And you're saying that this is, just what you said. You said that we've seen them bomb all throughout. Does that make it okay? Does that make it okay when everybody, including the Secretary of State, including the President of the United States of America, including many leaders in this country, have said, you should not attack Rafah, period. Or you can attack it by air? Is that it?
We have always said that they can attack legitimate military targets.
And you have people who are like, I can't believe that you believe that this is okay. And you have people who don't even know what's going on. And some just choose not to.
תפסידו במלחמה. אני לא אתן לזה יד. שלשום שוחחתי שוב עם נשיא ארצות הברית.
And while they're trying to get themselves together, they get bombarded with everything and then they get further away from it. But as far as the status quo of things, you put everybody's life in danger when you operate like that.
The American Jewish Committee said that 60% of American Jews feel less safe than they did a year ago.
Yeah, no. Especially if you have a platform. So, like I said, you had Aaron self-immolate. You had a young lady do it, I think a month or so before him in Atlanta, like I said, in front of the Israeli consulate. And you see how these people are feeling like something has to be done in regards to, there has to be, it's a push and pull. Like, how much are you going to get pushed before, how much you going to allow them to pull before you push back? Like, how much you going to allow them to pull away from you before you push back into them? I don't know if that analogy made any damn sense just now. As I was doing it, pause, I'm looking in the camera and whatever. But you get what I'm saying. And you have, as far as our Western media and other medias that operate like this, try to feed you bull crap. And if you aren't really paying attention or are on the fence about stuff, you can start to believe the bull crap and start to further endanger people with very negative thinking. Like, if you have a position in within our society of power to do or say something for change for the better of everybody, and you don't, you are putting everybody in danger with the way that you're operating, because all you're doing is just further promoting the status quo. That goes for politicians.
Command was on this program just a few weeks ago and said basically you have not articulated any specific end game here. So, but putting that aside, I want to come back to a few different things you
wait a
said.
minute, Margaret, hold on. You lob these grenades at me and you keep on moving. Well, first of all, you say there's no confidence in me. Well, the Israeli public has confidence in me. Last week,
there were massive
the
protests throughout Israel yesterday.
Of course we have protests. We have protests. Israel is a democracy. We've had
Even for some people's favorite rappers, like Aubrey Graham.
Somebody that I was like, I used to see out and be like, yo, that's that nigga, you know?
AKA Drake, AKA the possible groomer. I can't call him one because I don't want to get sued. But if you look up his history of talking to young ladies, it's very weird. This man has a platform, has the ability and opportunity to say stuff. He's a black, he's half black, half Jewish. Let's not even talk about the fact that he hasn't said anything about what's going on in Israel and Palestine. I mean, do whatever you want. I feel like he's obligated to because he's a black Jewish person, so you got two struggles happening at once, so you can say something. But whatever. Let's just say he just, living his Drake life and just getting money and stuff. But you have fake altruistic stuff like God's Plan, where you're giving out money in your videos and stuff like that, which is cool. But like you shooting music videos, which is kind of off-putting. Like you're being sympathetic. There's no empathy there. You feel like you're better than them. And you make songs for the women because that's your base. And then you attack women, which is your base. Like you're telling people that they should free a guy in prison, Tory Lanez, who, as far as the courts go, shot someone, a black woman, in the foot. And you like, nah, free my homie. What's wrong with you? Do you not realize that, again, you have a platform, so so what you say permeates and can fester within the community, especially within the community that operates off of hypermasculinity, which is a part of hip hop in certain respects, and that hypermasculinity is warped. So it's really just violence against women, whether it be literal physical violence or verbal or whatever have you, or keeping them out of positions or whatever have you, or still calling women rappers female rappers. Like stuff like that. You say this about this black woman, and then not only is she a woman, again, a black woman who they go through so much, and if you just look at the history and just now of black women, and you have this platform knowing that there are already idiotic people who already demonize women for speaking up about violence against them, speaking up for other women, speaking up regardless. There's already that tribe, and you're just leaning into it and making it worse for other black women. Because granted, Meg is in a better position because she has the monies and funds to keep herself away from a lot of it. Obviously, the phone stuff, that's hard, like media, like it can get to you. And that's not saying that she can't be bothered, because clearly she is. But other black women who don't have the same status of Meg and are around dudes who think like you're endangering them with that kind of speech. You idiot. What's wrong with you? You're sounding just like those people that those women are around that they face abuse. And this is not even to say that he is himself an abuser, because again, I don't know that, and I ain't trying to get sued. But as far as the grooming stuff, if you look it up, it's just very weird. But you realize as someone who's watching from outside looking in that some of these people don't understand that they have, they do understand that they have the ability to sway the narrative, move the crowd like an MC, master of ceremonies, and lull people asleep and hit them and put them in a trance of stupidity. Because if you listen to Benjamin Netanyahu talk, if you don't know what's really going on, it would make mad sense. This man, a reporter told him over 20,000 people, this was at the time, it was over 20,000 people have been, unalive, been killed in Gaza or whatever have you. And then Benjamin was like, yeah, we've been taking out terrorists one for one. And the reporter was like, wait, what? What are you saying? Like, I put this clip up before, but are you saying that 20,000 terrorists and 20,000 civilians are the same? What? That doesn't make any... Oh, because they're all terrorists to you. Okay. But again, if you ain't listening to the rhymes, you're going to get lost in it. Like, sometimes people spit bars and you don't realize until you listen back. And you're like, yo, that's insane. Like, I'm a big DMX fan. If you listen back to a lot of DMX rhymes, whoa, he said a lot of stuff. But at the time, you just bobbing your head because you're in a trance. You got to listen. Like, that's why, like, homogenous, that's what I think I was trying to get at. Like, homogenous places like a Thailand, like, obviously there's different dialects of Thai, like north, south, the countryside or whatnot. But for the most part, Thai is Thai. So, like, when you hear somebody talking, you can feel what they're saying, because a lot of languages like Thai are emotional as well as they are obviously verbal, but you can read somebody's body language. English is the language of deception. I can tell you I'm going to kill you with a smile on my face, right? I don't know if I'm smiling well because, again, I'm cutting weight. But I say that to say, like, you're kicking this game, and if you ain't really listening, they saying some bull. Like, the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu is doing all this media, this press runs in the U.S. should tell you something. Why isn't he doing them all the time in Israel? It's because a lot of the Israeli news outlets don't bang with him like that. And the wild part is, he's not even a president. Israel has a president, and he's a figurehead, but he's also insane. Been pumping out wild lies about finding... It's just stupid. I would put it in post, but I'm putting so much stuff in post that I don't think I got the energy to. But if you look up the Israeli president, he's an idiot. But he's running his game on American media because he can't run that back home. Because, yeah, again, regardless of those people protesting in Israel, there are people protesting who don't really care about Palestinian people. But they still are protesting because of what they do care about. And he can't lie to them in Hebrew about what he's doing and not doing, because they clearly can see it. Like, so you gotta use your critical thinking, your discernment, your reasoning, your deductive reasoning when you're hearing certain things, and you gotta sit back like, a lot of this is bull crap. Like, you guys are running game for whatever reason. We know the reason. The reason is to keep people productive in some shape, way, form, or fashion. Because whether you're working a job, whether you're stealing, whether you're in prison, whether you're making someone money. Capitalism is the overall thing. Because for the most part, what it seems like is a lot of these places, a lot of these corporations, because I don't consider them states or country, they're corporations because you pay taxes to them, whatever. They're businesses. A lot of these businesses, they need you to be doing, not for yourself, but for them. And they need you to not ever question why you're doing, what you're doing it for, and who you're doing it for. And if at any point in time you feel the need to actually do something about it, they will slander you, defame you, and misname you and make sure no one ever knows you ever existed. And or if you are able to rise above that and make it somewhere with that, they'll take you out and then they'll infantilize your whole your whole mode of operation, i.e. Dr. King. Make sure you keep your do-rag cape rolled. Free Palestine. All right, peace.
I am an active duty member of the United States Air Force, and I will no longer be complicit in genocide. I'm about to engage in an extreme act of protest, but compared to what people have been experiencing in Palestine at the hands of their colonizers, it's not extreme at all. This is what our